These are my 2024 reflections, having built a business to $70,000 a month with no sales team, all organic, and having taken 4 months off from work this year to memorize the Quran, having memorized 5 new juz, getting me to 17.5 juz memorized of the Quran, getting me closer, inshallah, from the Khatma. May Allah give us sincerity and allow us to use this knowledge and practice what we learn. And lastly, not having seen my children for a year and a half. These are my reflections, these are my lessons and the things that I have learned going through these things and having experienced these things. I hope you can benefit in some way, and I hope that Allah Azza wa Jal uses me for you to be either inspired, motivated, or to learn something. Let's get into it. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man ittaba'a hudahu. Amma ba'du, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So I cannot help but talk about different sections, right? In my life, the main things that I give priority to, or that my life, runs around, is business, first of all, because business helps me with everything else pretty much, right? So business helps me with taking care of my family. Business helps me with having time for my spiritual growth. And business helps me with just being able to worship Allah Azza wa Jal, being able to buy food, being able to live in a Muslim country, being able to take care of my family and whatnot. So the first section will be business. I'll be talking about business. Then I will be talking about spiritual lessons. So the spiritual section, right? Because right after business, if not, or let's rephrase it, I run a business for spiritual purposes, right? And if I could choose in between just earning money without doing business, then I would do so. But unfortunately, that's not how it works. And Allah Azza wa Jal, from His hikmah, He has made that the human being, especially the male, in ad-dunya, that he has to run and he has to work and do business in order for him to eat. And Allah Azza wa Jal in the Quran, when He talks to Adam, and He says, and don't eat from this tree, fatashqa, so you don't become tired by it. Meaning, if you eat from this tree, I'm going to punish you and I'm going to send you to dunya. And so He says fatashqa at the end of the ayah. And Mujahid, one of the mufassirun, he have said that this part of the ayah, fatashqa, means that you're going to forever be tired in ad-dunya, fi ma'na al-kalam, and in the sense of what he have said in his tafsir, that you will be tired forever in order for you to eat. Meaning you will have to earn the money in order for you to eat, which is the opposite of one of the qualities and one of the traits of being in Jannah, right? If you're in Jannah, then you want it and you have it. Whatever your nafs tashtahi, whatever your nafs wants. So there's no doubt that business is a big part of my life, but I would say that the main priority is the spiritual growth and the spiritual connection that I have with Allah Azza wa Jalla. And if it wasn't because of that, then business wouldn't even be part of my life, to be honest, because so tiring. And we're gonna get to it, inshallah. So there is business and spiritual, and that's the main two things I would say. Then I have written fitness lessons, mental health lessons, and I'm not sure yet if I will talk about it, but those are big things as well in my life. Now, so in conclusion, and as a spoiler, what I have learned, the main thing that I have learned this year, and then once I mention this, I'm going to go more in depth. What I have learned this year is that the main lesson, the biggest lesson that I have learned this year is that the nafs is is more difficult to control your nafs from not achieving something you know you can in regards of wealth. It's harder to hold your nafs from doing so, like doing more business, making more money, when you know you can and when you know you have the skills and you have the, you know, the capabilities. It's harder to hold your nafs doing so than actually juggling in between, trying to seek knowledge, trying to grow in your deen, trying to be more connected to Allah Azza wa Jal. Obviously, giving time to that, giving time to ibadah, juggling that and doing business at the same time. That's my biggest takes this year and the biggest thing that I have learned. And from these, one qawl by Ibn al-Jawzi that was very, you know, very present in my mind, that I went back to it multiple times throughout the year to try to understand better after having experienced a few things, right? Months go by, I see my nafs being a certain way or another way, and then I go back to this qawl and I read it again, and every time I read it, it's just different. Now and I understand it differently. But Ibn al-Jawzi, rahimahullah, in his book Sayd al-Khatir, Capture Thoughts, he says, it occurs to me, it is apparent to me from this matter that I have realized how little patience the soul has with just having enough and staying away from indulgences. Now, and even if the soul manages these at one time, it won't stay like that forever. So it's better for the scholar to work hard to earn wealth and put effort into making a living, even if it costs them a lot of time meant for seeking knowledge, because by doing this they protect their honor. Now, for those who know Arabic, Ibn al-Jawzi, he says in his words, إلا أنه يتخيل لي من هذا الأمر أني علمت قلة صبر النفس على الكفاف والعزوف عن الفضول، فإن وجد ذلك منها في وقت لم يوجد على الدوام، فالأولى للعالم أن يجتهد في طلب الغنى ويبالغ في الكسب، وإن ضاع بذلك عليه كثير من زمان طلب العلم فإنه يصون بإرضه عرضه. Naam. So Ibn al-Jawzi basically he says that, and subhanAllah, I read this, like I said earlier, I read this, you know, years ago, and every time I experience more, the more I experience, the more I come back to it, and the more I understand it, what he meant. Like, I understand it emotionally, I understand it physically, I understand it by experience, by having been through that battle. And this reminds me, subhanAllah, that when I was in Egypt, the first 3 years when I was in Egypt, my first 3 years of talab al-ilm, you know, and for anyone out there who has experienced talab al-ilm, who perhaps Allah Azza wa Jal has shown you and made you taste that halawat al-iman through talab al-ilm, the first few years are the sweetest ones. The first few years are you are building your foundation for the rest of your life, before you get hit in the face with responsibilities and business and having to provide for your family, etc., etc. The first few years are the sweetest ones. So the first few years, you go over a bunch of texts, over a bunch of hadith, over a bunch of aqwal of the ulama, and you understand it and you get it. But you don't really understand it until you actually go through the experience yourself, through that battle with your nafs in regards of that particular thing. For example, you read about how certain things lead to a zina. And you say, yeah, I get it. Yeah, and you, at that time, in those first years of your talab, of your seeking of knowledge, of your practice of Islam, you don't ever imagine you falling in those sins, or even thinking about it, or even getting close to it. And then as lives goes on, as you get further away from seeking knowledge, as you get further away from da'wah, as you get further away from teaching, as you get further away from just being involved in knowledge, you start seeing yourself being mutasahil, being a little bit less strict on certain things that you was very strict before. And that lack of strictness towards these things now make you get a little bit closer to things that at one point you said, I will never fall into this. And so when you read all of these texts, it's almost like you are protecting your iman, right? You are putting cement around your iman. You're protecting it as a shield. You're building your shield through all this knowledge that you are consuming. And then once you go out there in the battlefield and you start living your life, your adulthood life, and responsibilities start to come, and you are faced with trials from a shaitan and battling your nafs and everything, then you start to understand this aqwal with actual depth, with actual experience. Like, now I get it. And so Ibn al-Jawzi, he says that the soul has little patience just having enough, right? So if you are a business owner, right, and you're an entrepreneur, a skillful entrepreneur, you know how to make money, you see the path to 1 million, to 10 million, to 100 million clear. You know what you need to do, basically. You know the difficulty of it, and you staying persistent, and so that's another thing. But you know what it takes. You know the steps that you need the blocks that need to put on the castle for you to build that empire. If you're someone that's capable, your nafs finds it so hard, and the patience is so low when you try to hold it and say, I'm not going to make money. I'm just gonna have, I'm just gonna make a little 10K a month. That's it. And I keep from those 10K, the profit, maybe whatever, 6K in my pocket to take care of my family and so on. You would say that holding yourself from doing so is easy. And the person that doesn't have the skill to do so will say it's easy, akhi, just now you have al-kafaf, you have enough, like just seek knowledge, right? I thought this was easy. And I thought that actually running a business at the peak performance, you are tweaking everything, you are building, you are growing your team, you are scaling. I thought that with trying to seek knowledge at the same time, doing your Quran in the morning, making sure you keep up with your muraja, making sure you do a little bit of khair, you pay your zakat through knowledge. I thought the combination of these two was hard. I thought it was like, I can't do this. And this is one of the reasons why I went to Mauritania for around 4 months this year, which we're going to get into it. I'm getting a little bit off topic, but let me just speak my heart. I thought this was hard. I thought that combining in between these two was hard. But I've realized that, and I thought that holding your nafs from doing more was easy. But this year, when I went to Mauritania and I took time off to memorize some Quran, I memorized 5 juz, we're going to get into it as well. I thought that, that it was easier to just hold my nafs from not doing more. I told myself I'm not going to make more money. I don't want to be a multi-millionaire anymore. I don't want to build all these businesses, make millions of dollars. I don't want it. That's how I was thinking when I was in Mauritania. I was doing my Quran. I was close to the tafsir. However, I saw my nafs while doing so. This is just my taba. It's my natural being. I just became an entrepreneur now. I cannot help but see ideas. I cannot help but see projects. I actually battle my Nafs to not start certain things, to not do certain collaborations, so I can focus on what I have on the plate. Andalus Institute, making it a great product, increasing the percentage of success in the program and making it a good product. And so I've realized that holding myself from not doing more is harder for me than actually doing business, running a business and trying to juggle at the same time talab al-ilm. So that was my biggest lesson learned this year. That was my biggest lesson learned this year. And we're gonna get a little bit more in depth when I get to the spiritual side of things. Because when I came back from Mauritania, like my whole, even until right now, even until like reason probably when I'm recording this is it's influenced by me having been in Mauritania this year, and it literally took me like a left hook in my jaw with my hands down, not contracting my neck muscles and shoulders completely relaxed. That's how going to Mauritania, it took me like that heavy. So let's start with the first section, the business lessons that I've learned this year as an entrepreneur, and as a business owner. I've learned different lessons this year, and so let's get into it. First of all, we have built, this is the biggest lesson, and that the thing that surprised me the most, I would say, this year we got Andalus Institute as a $99 a month product with no ads, all organic, and no sales team, and having taken 4 months off, me as the founder, we are managing to leave the year with $70,000 in revenue per month, with about, I would say, around 50% profit of the business overall. And wallahi, when I say this, we barely done any marketing or sales this year. Like, I would say the biggest marketing and sales that we did, it was the Hidden Cost of Success event. So as a business owner, this showed me what can be done with very minimal effort, and it only showed me like the potential of Andalus Institute if I actually took it serious. I'm not saying I'm not taking it serious, but I could have done better. There's so many things that I've done wrong and I'm doing wrong with Andalus Institute. And again, as clear as I see it, as clear as I see the fixes and what needs to be fixed, it's just so many other things in life that are hitting me right and left, that it is so hard for me to put those things in place. And one thing I've realized as well is that your business is a reflection of yourself. And I used to say this to my students, to all the staff members at Andalus Institute. However your life looks around, however your wardrobe looks, your car, how clean it is, your night table, how much where the things are in your house, that's going to be a reflection of your output and how efficient you are. And I would say that this year, having traveled so much and having been all over the place, it showed in the business. And I think that I gave so much autonomy or so much response, like, I trusted so much the staff members at Andalus Institute. But it wasn't bad, but it could have been better. That's what I'm trying to say. And it could have been way better. And so leaving the year shows me, obviously I always look at, okay, churn rate and how, the percentage of people that are canceling under this institute, which on average we have a one digit churn rate, which is great. On average, 8 to 9% across all month this year. That's great. So I always look at churn rate and I look at revenue to look at how successful the product is, right? So it was a big mission, and it was a big like test for Andalus Institute to see if the product is really good, because we changed to a cancel anytime $99 a month, which you can, learning Arabic being a very emotional roller coaster and a long-term goal that requires a lot of delayed gratification, which most people don't have. It was a big test to see how this was going to work. And without little effort and with a lot of sloppiness in our LMS and the new platform that we built in the beginning of 2023, which we launched in the beginning of 2024, moving from Kajabi into our own custom coded from scratch LMS, learning management system. It was a big test for the product. It was a big test for just the service that we provide. And I think we stand the was the expression, we stand the test of time and the test of just quality. So I'm happy and fulfilled about that. And I am not happy and not fulfilled about myself and how I am running the business right now. And I'm looking to become better and revisit the basics, because I think that I am missing on a lot of things. And I guess part of that is having been so focused on the product, which was great. I think that on average our students are very happy with the service that they are getting, but I'm still not happy about like I look at the potential in what I am pushing the team to do, and it's not enough. It's not enough. So so there's that. We are close to finishing the curriculum, at least the first version of Kashf al-Mufradat, unveiling vocabulary. The lessons are going to be about 70 lessons, and our goal with the Kashf al-Mufradat curriculum is to help anyone that goes over it get to master Arabic proficiency. What do I mean by Arabic proficiency? Is basically what I gained right after completing the program that I was doing in Egypt, which is that after you go over the program, you are now able to pick up the Quran, read the tafsir, understand it. If you don't know certain words, you are able to research. And with your own research, you are able to come up with conclusions because of what you have learned, the principles, the sarf that you have learned, the nahu that you have learned. You are able to understand those definitions in Arabic only, that the tafsir give, that the ma'ajim and that the tafsirs give, and that the dictionaries give. And you are able to continue to teach yourself Arabic, and you are able to learn as much as you want from Arabic. And so that's what we're looking for with the curriculum, and the student will reach about B2 level by finishing this curriculum, which is a level that I'm telling you, if you go to to Medina University, which already happened with some of our students, and it wasn't even with this curriculum or this version of the program. It was with version 2 and version 1, actually, a mix of both. They went to Medina University, they applied, and they say, you don't need the ma'had, you already know Arabic, you can go straight to the kulliyah, you can go straight to the faculty. So it's enough to have that level of Arabic where you don't need to do the ma'had if you were accepted to Medina University. So that's that. So yeah, I realized as well with business that going into 2025, and this, I want to be more public about this because I think that I am not doing a good job. And the reason why many times, you guys hear me talk about like numbers of Andalus Institute and so on. The main reason why, or amongst the main reasons why I do this, is because I'm trying to show the potential out there so we can recruit more potential and build a strong team of very talented people so we make the product better, right? So talent is only attracted through showing the success of what you have founded and the success of what you have built. So I feel like I need to get better at hiring. I don't think I have put in the hours to hiring. One of the reasons is because I hate just interviewing people, and in general, I guess my introverted personality, I just don't like to talk to people too much, right? So, but I think I need to put the hours in, and I need to, just like I have through the years, I have set a very predictable, funnel, as they call it in the business, sales and marketing world, a very clear funnel to attract students. I need to create a very clear funnel as well to attract the right talent. Like, 8 players that are better than me at things that I'm not good at, and that if I bring them in, they will be doing the work that I'm doing, like supervising. And it's very hard in my niche because ideally an A player in Andalus Institute would look like somebody who has seeking knowledge experience, ideally has traveled before, and ideally has experienced the ladhat of talab al-ilm, and has experienced how your iman raises through seeking knowledge, right? That in within itself is there's a whole sub niche. Now, brothers that have been to Medina, brothers that have been to Yemen, brothers that have been to Mauritania, brothers that have been to Egypt, that have experienced that roughness, that khushuna of talab al-ilm and whatnot. Shattana ma bayna ha'ula al-ikhwa. There's a big difference between those brothers and brothers that just learned in their countries. They have never traveled, or maybe even just traveled to like the typical talab al-ilm in universities in Saudi Arabia and whatnot. You can argue with me on that, but there is a big difference in between brothers that have sought knowledge only at university and perhaps did a little durus here and there, and those who were ready to give it all, to go to the match, to go to Mauritania, they struggled to live, and they have been eating lentils for long months just to seek this knowledge. Is a big difference. So ideally, that's, I'm looking for someone that has that, but at the same time has knowledge of sales and marketing online. Now, he's very familiar with funnels, very familiar with funnel optimization, with all the benchmarks and all the new technology that we have going on in in 2024 when it comes to CRMs and systems that any business, any online business uses. And so, and then on top of that, has knowledge of the Arabic language, has the pedagogy of, and the skill set of knowing how to teach and understanding that, like, that in within itself is a skill. And if I could get 10 of these guys, and the thing is, I haven't looked for them, and I know you guys are out there, but if I could get 10 of these guys, I'm telling you, we can build a business to millions a year and give with that sadaqah and actually make a change in the ummah. And I think that I just haven't done the homework to do so, and I'm hoping to get better at that. And that's in terms of business. I mean, I think that with business, there are different stages in business. I think that there's and now when I listen to entrepreneurs talk, I can know at what stage they are at and roughly how much money they make just by listening to them talk about, especially I'm talking about online business, just by listening to them talk about certain things in business, and how, certain benchmarks and certain, and things that, just little things. Now, so if I hear someone talk, sometimes somebody talks about certain figures like they are crazy figures as well, and having been around multi-millionaires and people who have built, crazy businesses and sold them, you get to realize that like, some of you guys might look at $70,000 a month like yo, that's crazy, right? But I'm telling you, like, that is nothing. Like, in the business world, is absolutely nothing. Like, that's the bare minimum for an entrepreneur who actually stays consistent. Like, any of you watching this right now, if you start a business and you actually stay consistent, it's almost like sunnatullah has to happen. You will grow as long as you have product market fit, you find a product that people want and they are ready to buy, and you just do the bare minimum in terms of operations and what a business needs online, and you have a clear system for sales. You do the bare minimum in business, you're gonna get there. It's not crazy. So now for me, making 1 million a year is like, it's like you will do that with the bare minimum effort. And so when you hear certain people talking about certain things, certain benchmarks, certain numbers, you understand, pretty much at what level of their business journey they are at. And so I look at business now as, okay, there is the first stages, which is learn how to make cash flow. Now, I mean, all you're thinking about is cash flow. So, you make your first 10K a month, then you grow to 100K a month. And then, from that, like, what you need, you as an individual, and your knowledge, what you need to get to 10K is one thing, right? You need to start understanding how important is your habits on a day-to-day basis, how important your sleep is, how important your food is, how you approach things, learn how to say no, learn how to be disciplined and things like that. That's your first 10K a month. Then to get to 100K, you need to now basically duplicate what you have been doing to get to 10K, right? And it's pretty much the same thing, same level of knowledge. Then from 100K a month per month to like 1 million a month, now it takes a whole different a whole different skill. And now it's more about understanding the boring things of business, understanding operations and putting systems in place in your business and SOPs and and all of these things, being able to have people under you as the founder, as the CEO, that are able to push the team just like you push the team, to push them to do more. And just an example of this is, for example, for the whole year we have been developing كشف المفردات curriculum, right? We have been doing like maybe like one lesson every 3 weeks, perhaps, something like that. In the beginning I was doing one every week, and then at one point I realized I was doing them myself. At one point I realized, okay, I need help with this. It's too much going on. We have the new platform. We have the new platform that I went to Mauritania. I wanted to reconnect with the Quran, and at the same time we added new features. We added the speaking sessions and different new features in the program. And so then one of our best students, one of our best instructors started helping me out. And until I actually pushed the team, now I'm through live working sessions and things like that, we didn't progress. Like we did in a week, we did like 6 to, in a week and a half, we did like 6 to 10 lessons. If we had done this from the beginning of the year, we would have finished the first version in not even 6 months. And so the thing is that if you cannot find people that are able to push the team, like you as a founder, you should be able to be focused on, on the whole mission, how to move forward, etc., and have people under you that you tell them, listen, we need to get this, push the team to get this, and they are able to do that for you. And so that's from amongst the biggest learns this year in terms of business. And like I was saying, in terms of stages, I am at the stage right now where I see the route and I see the road to growing like a real life impacting for the customer's business. I see what it requires, but I think that I need to go to those early years of Andalus Institute where I would just lock myself in a room for 6 months and have every single routine in the day on deck. My sleep, my food delivered, as I used to do, delivered by, fitness companies, food, meal prep, and so on. Have my gym on deck, have my like consumption of content, in the sense of not too many people have access to my ears, not too many people have access to my eyes, not too many people have access to just me, to like you just need to be able to delete all distractions so you can find focus. If I'm able to do that, if I really want to now move to the next level, it would take that. It would take that type of focus and putting in the hours. So lately I have been thinking a lot about working in a physical space, like in an office with my team. And this is like a therapy session, like me just talking out loud, because I'm thinking right now, as I'm talking, I'm thinking. But I think that we need to do that. We need to, if we want to build something great that impacts the ummah, it will require that. So I think enough for business. Another thing as well that I've realized is that with business, which is the last point, is that you could, like, if you do business for 3 years, you will learn a certain amount of skills through trial and error, that at the top of, like, right now, I look at my skills and I look at business and I'm like, I could technically be a one man business and just do like I was doing in the very beginning of Andalus Institute, help a very small group of students. They get better results because I know them all. I'm more focused on everyone, and there's not too many layers of communication with the team. And you could, like that, and I'm saying this as an example because of the business that I run, but with any other business online, you could very easily make 20K a month, even more than that, 30, 40, 50. You and 2 employees, and keep a big profit and help people, fix the problem that you are offering through your business. I've realized that. But the thing is, going back to what we were talking about in the beginning, which is that the Nafs finds it hard, especially, you see, I look at myself like I'm very creative. I look at myself like an artist, and I always want to innovate and create a product with Andalus Institute that nobody has ever built before, and that nobody could build like me, because it's very unique. Is art. You cannot steal my creativity. And so that's my nature being. That's my taba, and my nafs pushes me to that. So I've realized this year that if I wanted to be I could be a talib, and I see the path as well clear. But as I'm doing talab al-ilm, like, wallahi, I remember I was in Mauritania, and I was using Tartil, very great app, by the way, and as I'm learning, as I'm just doing Quran, I'm finding different problems that I face, whether it's having a muraja partner, or whether it's, and I cannot help but think of projects that I could start, and I have to hold my nafs from not starting these projects because it would distract me from the main thing. And so this was another lesson, which is, you could be a solo nowadays with AI and business online. You could build a business, make 20, 50K a month on your own, with maybe two employees. But the thing is, do you want that, or do you want to grow something big, something impactful, something new, innovation? And I've realized that if it was because of money, I would have just done that. But at this point, like, I remember the first 3 years of business, I remember I used to check the bank account basically every single day. Every single day I would look at numbers. Now at this point, I don't even, like, I'm just focused on fixing certain problems students are complaining about. And I could go only if, for example, now, the state agent calls me, yo, you gotta pay rent. I'm like, oh, well, let me check the bank account. Or my family asks me for money, or whatever it might be. That's when I actually look at numbers. So I've realized that Andalus Institute right now, for me, it became like, I look at, like, imagine a blank white canvas, and I've started to paint a corner of it, and I'm just looking at the canvas. Okay, what next? Should I add shadows? Should I add a stroke? Should I add patterns inside of the letters? And I imagine myself again when I was doing graffiti. And after finishing the piece, you still can add a little something. You can add a little arrow in the back. You can add bubbles. You can add clouds. You can add shadows. You can add patterns inside of the letter. You can add a what do they call it? You can add shine to the letters. And so with Andalus Institute, this is how I look at it now. So this was my lessons for business. Now let's go into spiritual lessons. This year, and this was the biggest slap in the face, like I said to you guys early. In terms of spiritual lessons, first of all, the year started very turbulent, right? Because obviously my business, my spiritual health, my mental health, all of it is a reflection of how I am, right? And by the beginning of the year, I was getting close to not having seen my children for a year. At this point, I haven't seen my children for coming to, in June will be 2 years. And so I've realized, and one of the lessons that I've learned is that I use work as a cover for the pain that I'm going through emotionally. Somebody can die. I could be completely emotionally broken about something. And it gets worse if I stop working. It gets worse if I stop following my fitness routine. It gets worse if I leave off my Quran muraja. If I don't feel fulfilled because of my accomplishments, it gets worse and worse and worse. And this is why I do understand what it was last year. There was a big big phrase going on, or a big thing that they got going on, which was, how can you say depression is not real? And I understood, just like we were saying in the beginning, I understood that yes, depression, only you decide if you want to be depressed. You will be hurt and broken inside of it, inside of you. But if you stop achieving, especially as a man, if you stop achieving, which is what makes you fulfilled as a man, you will feel broken. You will feel broken more and more and more and more the more you stop to achieve. So in the beginning of the year, I was completely broken. I thought that I completely failed my children. Went through a deep, long years, decade marriage, divorce. And so it broke me emotionally in the beginning of the year. And so I started the year with that very heavy on my mind. Then in April, I decided to go to Mauritania. The whole idea was that, you see, in 2023, I managed to regather 12 Jews that I had memorized in the past that I had forgotten and I wasn't able to read from the top of my head. And so I regathered them. And then the idea was to go to Mauritania and do, like, in the beginning it was, to be honest, 1 month. It ended up being 3 to 4 months. And the idea was that being in Dubai, working, running businesses, it's very hard to actually make time to or at least for me, it's very hard to make time to just memorize. Now, I can do time for muraja'ah, something that I've already memorized in the morning and whatnot, but actually memorizing from scratch, it was hard. So I said, okay, I'm going to take time off, take a month off, take 2 months off. That was the idea. Ended up being 3 to 4 months. And go to Mauritania, or basically just go somewhere just to memorize new Quran, and then come back to your daily routine and add that muraja'ah into your already ongoing muraja'ah, right? To make it easy to add on new hifz, and then you, as you're running business and taking care of responsibilities, you just do your muraja'ah to keep up with what you have memorized. So that was the idea. So we went to Mauritania, had the goal of memorizing 7 juz. Ended up just memorizing about 5 juz and a half. So now I have about 17 juz and a half that unfortunately requires muraja'ah right now. Just naturally, to be honest, it just requires muraja'ah. But I could say that I'm very glad that I did so. And so the first lesson is that Iman grows through the Quran, not just reading and memorizing, but deeply understanding and living by it. When I was in Mauritania, we had a whole argument with the brothers. But by the way, let me just give a shout out to Hanif and Mu'adh. I haven't said this to them, but talking about this, it makes me truly grateful to have shared this experience with them. And one thing that I was thinking about this morning is, I don't know if they experienced the same way how I experienced this trip. And obviously everybody has unique experiences, I guess. But for me, it was just like, it just changed my whole future. Like how I just learned so much about my nafs. I learned so much about myself. It's just too much. Like, it's very heavy in my mind still, as you can see. Very, very heavy in my heart. And so the Quran I've realized how, again, what we spoke about in the beginning of the video is that if you in the beginning of your years, you hear me right now saying how understanding the Quran is important. You hear the words, you will understand it with your intellect, but there is something about actually experiencing yourself what it actually is to understand the Quran. And that's something that I realized. I thought it was my English not being my first language, or my lack of eloquent vocabulary. But I've realized that it is not something that can be put in words. The experience you experience when you do Quran, you live by it, you understand the tafsir, you read the tafsir, you have a regular connection with it on a daily basis, you revise what you have memorized with tafsir, so it becomes a continuous reminder. It's like you're reading a dars and it reminds you of it. And so while being in Mauritania, it was so heavy in my heart. Like until right now, it weighs so heavy in my heart, this experience that I had with the Quran, that while I was in Mauritania, I was ready to leave off everything. Like, you cannot imagine how much it weighted in my heart that I was ready to leave off everything. And going back to what Al-Imam Ibn al-Jawzi, he said, when he said it occurs to me from this matter that I have realized how little patience the soul has with just having enough and staying away from indulgences. Now I'm so forcing yourself. I went to Mauritania, right? I traveled to Mauritania business class. I, I have here, or at least I had right now, I kind of slowed down a little bit, but I had the most luxurious life I have ever had in my life here in Dubai. And I left that. I took one luggage for the amount of months that I was going to be in Mauritania. I flew business class and went to Mauritania to some dirty, no AC apartment. When we got in there, there was a rat on the floor, and so I helped myself, right? So I've realized how little patience the soul has with just having enough and staying away from indulgences. It's possible you can hold your nafs to do so. Even if the soul manages this at one time, it won't stay like that forever. Now, so that's what I've realized. I've realized that if you know you can, have this lifestyle, if you know you can have a very comfortable life, if you know that you can live in a very comfortable setup, and you take yourself out of that to go to roughness, is good for your heart. But while I was in Mauritania, I told myself, khalas, I'm not gonna live a luxurious life anymore. Not like I live a crazy luxurious life, but just like very comfortable. Like, I cannot stress enough, when I came back from Mauritania to my apartment. I have an apartment which is my office here in Sharjah. And I came back, and looking around, it's like I was in prison for I don't know how many years. And I was like, yo, this is too much. Like, I was being careful, washing my hands with how much water I was spending, because we were limited on water being in Mauritania. And I realized how the more Quran, the closer I got to the Quran, the less I wanted the tangible, things of life. And as much as I agree with, it's not, yani, you can be zahid, you can be, what's the word in English for zahid? Like, you can just live with enough. Or it doesn't mean that because you have a Lambo that you are not being grateful, or being a zahid, right? I don't know right now what zahid is in English. Aesthetic, or not aesthetic? Put it in the comments, please. But basically, it's not because you have a Lambo, you have a nice house, you live this comfortable life that's going to, that you don't have high iman. It doesn't mean that. But I agree with that, but I cannot help but tell you that when I experienced being close to the Quran, memorizing and understanding it, and that change that the Quran did to my heart, I cannot help but tell you that I just didn't want to have any of the things that I know I don't need in life. And it made me sick to my stomach when I came back to Dubai, and I got in my car, right? I had a driver, right? Now, even him, I told him that I don't need him anymore. But I had a driver. He drops me off at the airport. He comes, picks me up as well, driving my car. So I'm just sitting in the back. So imagine this, right? I get off the plane. He's waiting for me. He gets my bag. I'm walking to the car. I get in the car. I see the stars shining on the roof of my car. The comfortability, the just the luxury of the car. I even almost like I forgot that I was living this lifestyle in Dubai, of how much I got into a bubble while memorizing the Quran and building this relationship with it. So it was, and until this day, is this heavy on my heart. And so the biggest lessons that I have learned is that if I want to get my iman, that feeling of al iman in the beginning of your practice, when you start practicing Islam, it's like the honeymoon of your iman. The first year, the first few months, your prayers are crisp. You're memorizing, you're learning, you're reading, you call into your friends to practice more the religion and so on. And then as life goes on, it dies off. I've realized that. I remember once we were sitting in front of a supermarket, and I was telling the brothers, I've realized that the peakest moments where my iman was at the peakest is when I was closer to the Quran, where my muraja'a was on top, when I was memorizing on a daily basis, which was in Egypt, right? And so I've realized that if I want to get my iman back to that stage, I have to get close to the Quran. And that won't happen unless I shape and systemize my life for this, because your environment will tell how you are actually, the things you are doing and the things that you are not doing. So yeah, second lesson, I discovered the transformative power of tafsir and pondering, leading to a complete reset of priorities and systems in life. Now, alhamdulillah, I memorized 5 additional juz. Not what I wanted when I went to Mauritania. I wanted to get to 20 juz all completely, and then 2025 finish the hifd. But alhamdulillah, I am truly, truly, truly grateful to Allah Azza wa Jal for having me experience this, because I feel like it was a slap in my face to show me what I need to be doing in order for me to have high iman and have a healthy iman. So I was going to get into the mental health lessons, and basically fitness lessons, but I think that I will keep it short, and I will talk about the biggest lesson, which is balance is key. Whether it's between seeking knowledge and work or fitness and family, everything requires focus and discipline. One hadith that's heavy in my mind is the Prophet ﷺ saying, Ya ayyuhan nas, ittaqu Allah wa ajmilu fi talab, fa inna nafsan lan tamuta hatta tastawfiya rizqaha. Now, all people, fear Allah and be careful. Now, don't do too much, don't do too little of seeking rizq, because there's no nafs, there's no soul that will ever die without getting all the rizq that has been written for it. And so your rizq is written. Take the means to get your rizq, but take them without forgetting Allah Azza wa Jal. Because if you forget Allah Azza wa Jal, Allah will make you forget yourself. And one thing that I've realized is that when I came back from Mauritania, I was so I'm trying to, like I said, I'm looking for the systems on how can I make this a reality? How can I make this connection with the Quran a day-to-day thing? How can I make it the standard in my life, right? And so I've been so confused for the past few weeks. I got back into came back. I looked at the business. There was so much to fix. I went crazy on business. Then the Quran took a hit. Then my fitness took a hit. Then the business, because I'm emotionally broken from these two things taking a hit. Now the business took a hit as well. Now everything is falling on top of me. So now my whole, emotional system took a hit. And now I am just, there's been a few days where I'm sad. I'm down, like I'm just down energy wise. And the reason is because none of the main things that I prioritize in life, being business, fitness, and my relationship with Allah Azza wa Jal through the Quran, none of those things were at my standards, at what I know I can get it to. So because I see all of those things not being in place, it just makes me just feel down in energy. And I have to step back and look at, okay, what little thing can I do today to start building the habit so I can now get to a place where that thing is taken care of, like fitness, for example. And what other thing can I do for this other thing to start becoming a habit, for example, Quran, and what other thing, and do little steps to build the habits that will now have you have the systems in place of the things you prioritize in life that you want to be good at, and that you cherish, and that makes you feel fulfilled. When you achieve, especially as a man, makes you feel fulfilled. So make sure you start step by step, getting close to the things that building the habits for you to systemize the things that you prioritize in life, and that will make you feel fulfilled. It will give you clarity, and it will allow you to then add on other things that you might want to accomplish or work on. And the thing is that if you as a man, you are not fulfilled and your energy is down, you are not going to be able to be a good leader for your family, for your kids, for your wives, and so on. So I guess these are my reflections for the end of 2024. I hope that you have benefited in some way, and I hope that Allah will use me for you to benefit in some way, and inshallah accomplish more in life and get more done, get closer to Allah Azza wa Jal, and just be better, inshallah. Stay strong, and I'll see you on the next one. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.